Hello, Possum. How are you doing this afternoon? Today is actually Chinese New Year, at least for me. It's Chinese New Year proper this time for me. Fun. And we're starting the Chinese New Year with gay. We're once again starting a new year with gays. With the lesbians. Because why not? What better way is there to start a year than with lesbian? Honestly, I don't know. Why did I get an achievement? Who am I playing as? I didn't read that. I was too focused on the achievement that popped up in the corner. Give me a second as I reload the save so I can see what I'm playing. Morgan. Another morning. Nothing has changed. No progress. No hope. The only difference this morning is that Tara is still asleep. It's the first time I've woken up before her since we started sleeping together. I'm glad she's still sleeping. I can tell she needs it. I slip out of bed and dress silently. My next move should be heading to the shop. Sticking to routine is what's kept Evelyn off our tracks. For now. The instant I start thinking about Evelyn again, I'm hit by a powerful urge to climb back into bed, wrap my arms around Tara, hold her for a little longer. I don't. She needs her rest, and there's still some time before she leaves. Somehow, thinking about that makes me feel even worse. I try to push the thoughts away, but voice does that to me.
Oh shit, what time is it?
She's sitting up in bed and rubbing her eyes. She's still wearing her clothes from the night before, or at least the top half. But her sitting up doesn't mean she's actually awake.
It's still early. You can rest more.
No, it's fine. I got this.
I'm just going to go spend some time in the shop so nobody comes to check in on us later today. Get some sleep. I'll be back soon.
You sure?
I move back to the bed and kiss her forehead before lowering her into her pillow.
I'm sure. I'll wake you up when I'm back.
Okay, cool. Thanks, babe. Thanks.
Dead silence.
I know what you meant.
Anyways, I'm out the door before either of us can say a word. I don't want to think about that right now. I just need to get to the shop. Shit. I'm so focused on that, I almost slam into Evelyn the second I step outside.
No need to rush, dear.
Fuck. My brain jumps to panic mode. Why is she here? She's never here in the morning? Did she come for us? The door isn't shut all the way. I could run back inside, grab Tara, get out. I know deep down it's pointless to try. If she wanted us dead, we'd be dead. I don't know why she's sparing us, but if she changes her mind, we won't get a warning.
What do you want?
Her mouth curls into a frown.
Am I not supposed to take an interest in my daughter's life? I thought you had outgrown that phase.
I grit my teeth. The sight of Tara's body being flung into the wall. Maddie's room in the cabin. Hauntingly empty. She doesn't have the right to even pretend to be my mother.
I'm not your daughter.
Morgan!
I flinch as she raises her voice. I hate letting her get a rise out of me, but there's too many memories making me afraid of that sound. She just sighs and her features sink. She almost looks visibly hurt. Only almost. There's still something inhuman about her expression. Something I've never been able to understand.
You can be so cruel sometimes.
The highlights of her eyes make her look really creepy. It looks like she has two pupils. Dang.
You weren't always. When you were young, you were the sweetest thing. You would never imagine the things you say to me so casually now.
I clench my fists. I have to keep it together. My nails push slightly against the skin of my palm. As always, my fingers freeze before they draw blood.
I'm going to work.
My voice comes out as a rasp. I cringe at the weakness of it. She puts her hand on my shoulder as I try to walk past.
Work can wait, dear. I'm sure your customers will understand. I have something to show you.
What the fuck do you have to show me?
I thought since you were so desperate to see in my office, I could give you a little glimpse of what I keep in there.
Evelyn drops her hand, her lips twisting into a stickingly sweet smile.
If you're not interested, however, I'm sure your American friend would be eager to join me.
My blood freezes. I want to hit her. I want to scream at her. I'm not sure if it's fear or the curse she's placed on me that keeps me rooted on the spot. I can't even look at her. She knows she's won, as she always has. I can feel her eyes on me as she waits for me to follow her. The moment passes, and she makes a sound of affirmation. She turns away.
Now come with me, dear.
I figure out where we're headed after a couple minutes of walking. The forest. If she's taking me in there, then this could be it.
Ah, here we are.
I look back at the house for what I hope is the last time. What's going to happen if Tara wakes up and can't find me? What if she never sees me again?
Tara.
I mutter her name under my breath. Some dumb, childish part of me hopes that she heard it somehow. It's better that she is not here, but I still wish she was.
What was that, dear?
Nothing.
I ought to thank your friend. She's made motivating you so much easier. It's nice to see you caring about someone other than yourself for once. I'd almost think you were finally growing up, if you weren't so stubbornly holding on to your teenage rebelliousness.
I don't say anything. I keep my face blank. 1, 2, breathing. She pays me no mind. We walk into the forest, past the initial tree line, into its depths. At least I know where we are. Or I thought I did. As we keep on walking, I realize that I don't know where we are at all. The trees are different. These aren't the ones I know. They aren't even the ones I saw when we started walking. I've walked this path dozens of times. There's no way I'm making a mistake. The branches blot out the sun even more than usual, and the shadows seem to blend around Evelyn. I can hear the cracking of old wood in the darkness. It almost sounds like the trees are moving. I've never seen the forest behave like this. I've never seen anything behave like this. As we walk, Evelyn keeps turning her head to glance at me, probably trying to see how scared I am. I don't let my expression waver. I won't let her in. You won't win this one. The things around me don't even look like trees anymore. They're too gnarled and rotten. They twist into shapes that should be impossible. They form walls around us as we walk, pushing us forward. I can't help drawing in on myself. It's like the whole forest is closing around us. My neck. I didn't realize how much I craned my neck until I'm looking at my model on the camera, the tracking. It's getting hard to breathe. I feel like I'm about to be crushed by the force itself. And just when I think I can't take it anymore, we break into a clearing. Oh shit. In the center of the clearing is a beautiful, radiant tree. It's actually green, real, brilliant green needles. The trunk is so thick and sturdy that the bark makes it look armor-plated. The rich scent of pine fills the air. Yes, Decker, thick with two C's. This tree is dummy thick, and the rich scent of the pine fills the air. The shadows around us are kept at bay by the shimmering golden light. I can breathe again. Crisp, clean air fills my lungs. The awful sensation of the twisted forest are all but forgotten. I reach out my hand to it, but only reach. Something inside me tells me that I'm not supposed to touch it, that I'm not even supposed to be here. It's dummy thick.
What is this?
She ignores me, or at least I think she does. I don't turn around to look at her. I'm too transfixed by the tree ahead of me. I don't know how long I stand there, staring, but after some time I notice the air around me change. My limbs begin to numb almost immediately. When I look back at Evelyn, she's glowing in oily shimmer all around her body. And she's smiling at me. And she's smiling at me. Smiling.
You were so peaceful, so calm. I can't remember another time when you were so relaxed. I hate to interrupt it. Really, I do. But I only have so much time to spend here.
Has her hair always has so much white in it? This... what the heck?
Do you understand?
She starts walking towards me. And that's when I see the knife in her hand. I try to open my mouth to speak. I try to move my feet away from her. I can't. Completely still, impulse crushes against nature. My heart hammers in my chest. Every muscle in my body is frozen. I can't even shake.
This forest spirit. It's so young. As small as it is, the power within it is enough to melt the ice in this place, to draw you in. You love it so much, even though you'd only just met it moments ago.
A rush of understanding fills me. The warmth, the peace in this place. A haven from the cold. We are the intruders.
I always knew you were part of this forest. Much more than any of the others. This confirms that.
She grabs my hand and holds it up, examining my palm, running her fingers over its creases as if it's like nothing she's ever seen before.
I thought it would make you dangerous. It didn't. It made you weaker.
Fuck. She presses the blade to my hand. My mind screams at my body, desperately trying to get my muscles to respond.
Your one chance at success, of escape. And you're weakened by it.
She laughs at herself, and she knows a joke that I'm not in on. With a swift motion, she drags the blade against my palm. I stare in horror as blood trickles and pools from the open gash.
Since you loved it so much, I wonder how it will feel for you to be the one to kill it.
What? My strings are cut in that moment, and I fall over. The rush of sensation rushes over me all at once. The pain, the cold. I scream out, clutching my palm. turn and try to crawl immediately. My instincts shout at me as I fall to my knees over and over. Get up. Run. Run! But it's too late. Evelyn grabs my wrist so hard I feel like the bones are about to break. And she swings me around and presses my bloody palm into the forest spirit. Before I can rip my hand away, I feel a voice bursting forth from within. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you repeat that? Pain rips forth from my chest, and more I try to hold the words back. I cover my mouth with my hands, and I stumble back in horror. But it's too late. An unexplainable sound fills the air, a hideous groaning. I know what it is. I do. I don't want to admit it to myself, though. That's the spirit. Blackness moves up, the shining green needles. The calming aura disappears completely, and is replaced by something else. Pain. It's pain. I fall to my knees as the trunk begins to twist into itself. Bits of bark fall into the snow. The rotting blackness creeps up from its roots, and the unsteady trunk begins to sway. The needles wither and die. My head is filled with its suffering. I hear a crackling then. A black tar seeps out from the bark, smelling of death. Morgan screams in pain, in terror, as the ancestral tree before her is killed. It bursts into flames.
No! 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 No!
I try to hold my mouth closed. Incantations leave my throat in a voice that's mine, but yet isn't. Evelyn's standing farther back now, watching the scene before her. Her face is contorted into a terrifying grin. She's enjoying this. The crackling grows louder. My breath catches in my chest, and out of the corner of my eye I see Evelyn, hand outstretched.
No! Don't! Stop!
With a crack louder than thunder, the spirit's trunk splits in twain. A beat of silence follows. And then I hear the screams. It comes from all around me, something crying out within the woods, a shrieking, earth-shattering wail. My heart breaks. It's not something in the forest. It is the forest. Somehow, the trees around me are screaming in pain. I'm screaming now. I can barely hear myself through the shrieking vortex around me. I can't look. I bow my head, still screaming as the fire burns. Even the fire feels wrong. It's cold. Freezing. Fire blooms around the tree, shooting high above the tree line. In one giant blinking burst, the tree is gone. All that's left is a circle of scorched earth. The burn is more intense than anything I've ever seen. It looks like it stretches down forever. Somewhere in my heart, I know nothing will ever grow here again. The screams start to fade. I slowly take my hands from my ears.
Thank you for being such a help, dear. Really.
Morgan looks back at Evelyn with gritted teeth.
You're a monster.
How funny. Your mother said the exact same thing. You really do take after her.
I can't gather my thoughts enough to respond. The screams are still echoing in my mind.
Never forget this day, child. In the brief time you have left, I want you to know for certain that you don't stand a chance at changing your fate. You never have.
I went to grab snacks. I have Haichu and a candy cane. I am back. Lol.
None of you ever had. And when the time comes for you to serve as my vessel, I'll make sure the next one won't either.
Fucking hell. Reaches out toward me, and I prepare for the worst. But all she does is pat my head and ruffle my hair.
You can find your own way home, I assume. I know how much you love these woods.
She gives another chuckle as she turns and walks away, heading back into the shadowy trees. She disappears into the darkness. All that's left is me and the disgusting burnt circle. My mind is blank, numb with shock. Quietly, slowly, one thought begins to take form. Choices. She'll pay for this. She's tried to break me for years, over and over again. I've never let her, and I'm not going to let her do it now. I don't care how powerful she is. I don't care what she did to Maddie. She's going to pay, and Tara and I are going to make sure of it. We'll destroy her once and for all. We'll leave the place behind for good, together. And nothing's going to stop us. I open the front door, and its weight drags me forward. As I stumble inside, I pull myself up on the knob, trying to catch my breath. I can't. Kara must have heard the door because her footsteps come booming down the stairs. She doesn't fall, unsurprised, given that the last 5 times she ended up slamming into the wall. I keep telling her to be careful. This time I'm glad she isn't. Closing the door behind me, I finally manage to enter the kitchen as she rounds the corner.
Holy shit, you're okay. I thought when you didn't come home,
I'm okay. Don't worry. It wasn't anything.
I can't seem to finish my sentence. My head is swimming. I stumble again, ready to collapse to the floor.
Let's go upstairs. You need some rest. Come on.
Her voice is warm, quiet, and reassuring. I can't believe it. I can't believe it belongs to the same girl that spends her days yelling about the Loch Ness Monster. But it's what I need right now.
Thank you, Tara.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. We're the dream team, remember?
She flashes me a now very familiar wide-mouthed, goofy grin. I can tell she's trying to distract me from the fear and worry I can see in her eyes. She's never been hard to read, but by now, she's an open book. At least she's trying. That counts.
Come on, let's get up there.
Her holds my arm and steady me as we go up the stairs. I hate being like this. I'm not supposed to be weak. I can't be weak. I ignore the shaking in my legs and force myself to stand on my own. Even if I'm just walking to the bed to sit down, it helps.
You just sit here for a minute and relax, okay? I'll go make some coffee or something.
I thought you didn't even know how to make coffee.
That's where the or something comes in.
It takes me a second to realize that I'm laughing. Everything has gone wrong, but I'm laughing. Every time I start to lose hope, she makes me laugh. She's smiling again. It's genuine this time.
I guess I'll take the risk. Thank you, Tara.
I'm not good with words. I want to kiss her, to thank her genuinely. It's not the right time. I kiss her cheek instead. Tara hesitates, staring at Morgan. Blankly. Her eyebrows knit together into a look of worry. She doesn't say it with anything, just turns and heads for the kitchen. Maybe that was a mistake, but I don't think it was. A whirlpool of panic hits my brain in the instant she leaves. It threatens to overcome me, crashing over my thoughts and pulling me deeper into its abyss. My breathing runs ragged. I close my eyes, counting to 100, as I've done so many times before. But it's not enough. The forest, Maddie, Evelyn, Tara. I try to raise my head above the water. I can't do this. After everything, with Maddie, with Evelyn, Tara shouldn't have to deal with my problems too. Another of us have time to deal with all the feelings I know we're not talking about. If I'm a bigger part of the picture than Maddie, I know what that's going to lead to. I'll hold it in. I'll be fine. I shake my head. It's so much harder to lie to myself than it used to be. Those heavy footsteps saved me from the mess in my head. Tara slips back into the room with 2 mugs of what I think is supposed to be coffee. The smell of coffee almost makes me feel calm, but right now it makes me... always feels calm. But right now it makes me feel... sick.
Here we go. If the caffeine in this doesn't wake you up, then at least the taste will.
As long as it doesn't kill me.
No promises.
Bring the mug to my lips and taste it carefully. It's not bad, or I'm just desperate. Either way, I keep drinking it.
So, what happened out there? Did she hurt you?
Not really. She just went on about how I can't do anything to her. It wasn't anything serious.
Sure.
Bullshit.
I want to tell her not to worry, but I can't. Evelyn's laughter rattles around in my head the second I open my mouth. I place the almost empty mug of coffee on my desk. I hear Tara's sharp intake of breath behind me, and I spin around, my heart racing. Fear and worry reflect in her eyes as her gaze flits between my face and my hand. I look down my own palm, still bleeding gently. It throbs now and then, now that I'm looking at it. With everything that happened, I forgot about it. Tara reaches forward, hold my hand between her own, applying a gentle pressure to it. Her concern is more than I can handle. I can't lie to her.
I'm sorry, Tara. We've already got so much to worry about. I didn't want to give you more.
I want to look out for you, Morgan. I can take it.
The 2 of us sit silently for what feels like an eternity. Every sentence I try to form falls apart the moment I open my mouth. The screaming echoes in my head. But eventually, I do it.
And then I couldn't stop. I was killing it.
Tara rubs my hands, quietly staying quiet as I continue talking. I feel my eyes sting the more I speak, but I have to hold it together.
It was burning. It was burning and dying. It was like the entire forest felt it. I couldn't stop the magic no matter what I did. And after everything was said and done, Evelyn, she...
I feel a tightness in my chest. I've never spoken like this before to anyone, not even to Jada the Dora.
She told me my real mother was just like me.
I can't bring myself to continue. Voicing the implications out loud would make them more real than they already are. My real mother is gone, and whatever similarities we bore mean nothing now. All that matters is that she lost.
Shit, Morgan,
Stinging. The stinging's getting worse.
She probably doesn't know how much we know. If she's trying to scare you, that means she's really scared of us. Her pulling weird shit in the forest isn't gonna change anything.
I don't know, Tara. This is pretty big. Can't understand. How do I tell her about the screams of the forest? That black fire.
The trees were...
I cut myself off. What am I doing? I already told myself I wasn't going to let this get to me. And here I am. Already about to lose it. I have to keep it together.
You're right. Sorry. I shouldn't have made such a big deal out of it.
Hey, that's not what I meant. I want to hear what you have to say.
She sits down next to me. The stinging in my eyes isn't going away, no matter how many times I try to blink it back.
You know I'm not the best at, like, saying stuff. Or knowing how to say stuff.
Isn't that your job?
Yeah, but do I ever look like I know what I'm doing?
She holds my hand as I chuckle.
You've got a point. But I'm okay, I promise. It was just some cheap scare tactic. I wouldn't let something like that beat me. Like you said, this is just a sign that we're on the right track.
Sure.
Just because everyone else before us failed, that doesn't mean that...
Morgan,
Huh?
you're crying.
What? No, I'm not.
Inch by inch, I reach and touch my cheek. It's wet. I can't be crying. My eyes are still stinging. I've been holding it back.
It's okay. You can cry.
I told you, I'm not...
My voice cuts off as I let out a choked sob.
I'm not...
Can't hold it back any longer. Let it go. Tears flow down my face for the first time in years. Each one burns my skin like a tiny, painful reminder of how pathetic I'm being. I desperately try to wipe the tears away, even though I know it's pointless. They just keep coming. I squeeze my eyes shut instead in hopes that it'll somehow force the tears back in. And then, once again, I feel Tara's arm around me. She squeezes me so hard that I start thinking she's trying to wring the tears out of me.
Let it out. You know I've got you.
I let it out. Throw my arms around her and rest my head against my shoulder. All I can do is hope that the fabric muffles my sobs. She rubs my back slowly and presses her lips to my forehead. I already feel like I'm burning inside, but her warmth is different. Soothing. My whole body shakes again against Tara. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't say anything. She just holds me close. This isn't the girl I spent years watching yell about monsters from the internet. This isn't even the girl that stepped off the train a few weeks ago. Something about being here changed her. As I cling to her for dear life, I realize that it changed me too. I can feel my tears start to slow when that thought crosses my mind. I'm finally able to catch my breath. Tara's Tara's grip on me loosens as I stop shaking. When she takes her lips off my forehead, I have to fight the urge to pull her back down. I pull away, and I sit up instead. It's nice to be able to wipe my cheeks, and actually have them stay dry. Looking at her now, I see that Tara's face is stained with tears too. It's my fault.
I'm sorry.
Hey, it's cool. I don't think anyone on Earth or anywhere else would say you don't deserve a minute to get it all out there.
If you say so.
For what it's worth, I think you stand a way better chance than any of the people that came before you. After all, you've got one thing they don't.
What's that?
Tara! She breaks into another massive grin as the tears streaks down her face can't hope to tarnish. I know what she's going to say before she even brings out the finger guns.
Me, obviously.
Finger guns. I start to chuckle before bursting into laughter. Real, full laughter. Even now, and then a sob slips in, I don't mind as much anymore. As always, she knew how to make me feel better.
My incredibly humble savior.
Hey, if I can't stay on brand even under the threat of death, I don't deserve to be popular.
I love that about you.
I clamp my mouth shut the instant my words leave it. I don't know where that came from. Tara's expression makes it clear she didn't either.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
We look away from each other. I do my best to focus on anything in the room that will hold my attention.
Hey, can I say something?
When I look back up to her, I can see that her entire face is bright red.
As much as I love to joke, I'm 100% serious about you having something that they didn't have. More than one thing, actually.
What are you talking about?
I mean, you're really brave. Like, the bravest person I've ever met. You're smart, too. A hell of a lot smarter than I am. You're...
She stretches her face in that cute way she always does when she's trying to figure out what to say next. Which means I've seen a lot of it.
You're all the things that I act like I am. You're smart, you're brave, you're strong. You're not afraid to fight back against bullshit. You're beautiful, you're capable. You've been through a ton of bad shit all your life, and you're still fighting, even against things nobody else out there believes. I spend nearly every day of my life thinking about the strangest things in the world, and I still couldn't have imagined someone like you really existing.
If I hadn't watched her ramble for years, then I'm sure that by now she'd be incomprehensible. But I can hear every word, and I can feel my heart beating faster with each one.
And you're just really awesome and fun to be around, and being here with you is one of the best things that's ever happened to me, and I don't want this to end, and
You're in love with me.
I'm in love with you!
She's in love with her! Wait. Did I just... And we both sit in stunned silence. I try to tell myself that I don't know where that came from. Another lie. I've known for a while now. Just like I know that
Look, I'm really sorry. I know we agreed from the start that we wouldn't catch feelings. I swear I've never had this happen before.
That can be a bad thing, right? She's a mess. But she's a mess I'm in love with.
I get if you're upset, and I'm sorry for bringing this up now while we've still got this other shit going on. And when this is over, I can just leave, and I won't make a big deal about any of it, and we can just go back to living our own separate lives.
I grab her cheeks and I pull her face towards mine before she even realizes I've moved. I bring our lips together hard and kiss her in a way I've never had before. I don't know how to describe it. I just know it's something new. We've kissed plenty of times, but this isn't like most of those. It isn't like any kiss I've ever had with anyone. It's healing. It's grounding. It's incredible. It only takes a second before she kisses back, hard. She grabs me again, and I can feel her hands moving along the length of my body. It's like she's looking for handholds. I realize on the back of my mind that this is the first time we've had a kiss this deep without one of us putting their tongue in the other's mouth. I'd laugh if I didn't have more important things to do with my mouth. You do have to stop for breath eventually. All we do is blow hot air in each other's face for a split second before coming back together. This is too good to let it end so soon. One of us is crying. It had better not be me. We break the gas for air.
I love you too, obviously.
Tara plants small kisses on the bottom of my lips as I speak.
Yeah, I kinda figured.
Saying it out loud feels incredible. It's like dropping weights I've been carrying for miles. I can feel everything everyone took from me coming back in force.
I guess I really do have you after all.
With the air of finality, we break apart, but remain close. Tara presses her forehead to mine and nuzzles my nose. Tara is blushing hard at Morgan. Tara's blushing hard while Morgan... Blushing hard while looking at Morgan, determined. I can't freaking read.
I'm not going to let her hurt you. I promise.
I know.
We're gonna beat this thing, Morgan. We're gonna kick Evelyn's ass, and we're gonna save my best friend. And when we leave the shitty village behind for good, I want you to come with us.
Yeah, of course.
I'm still not able to match her level of confidence. I love her, but that doesn't magically guarantee things will be okay. I'll keep trying to get there, though.
So, what does this make us?
I assume it makes us girlfriend and girlfriend.
What do you mean?
Are we, like, dating? Or...
She rubs the back of her neck and smiles awkwardly. With the power of love and gelato on our side.
I mean, it's been a while since I've done something like this, and...
You mean Jayladora?
This isn't exactly a normal dating scenario.
I know what she's trying to say. We don't know what's around the corner yet.
I don't know. Not that it's anything against you, of course. I love you a lot. But I don't know if I can put a name on that love right now. Not with everything else we're dealing with.
And here I always thought fighting an ancient evil monster would be the perfect setting for asking someone out.
I guess you were wrong about that, Tara. She doesn't sound mad. That's a good sign.
Maybe, if everything turns out okay, we could give it a shot. Putting a name on it, I mean.
She cranes her neck up towards me and kisses my neck. Cranes up? Are you tall? What?
Saving it for after we kick some ass, huh? I can dig it.
Cranes up? But you're shorter than her. I think I'm missing something here.
So, what does that make us? For right now, I mean.
Can we just be people who love each other? Stay friends the way we are right now, but in love.
Yeah, I think I can do that. I do have one question, though.
Shoot.
Can we kiss more often now?
That works for me.
I already know she's about to kiss me, but I beat her there. My lips meet hers on the way up. Her squeak of surprise melts away as we hold each other again. I'm still afraid, I'm still uncertain. But this helps. She helps. Thank you, Tara, for everything. Who's next? We're back to Maddie. Okay. It's been a weird morning. Usually when I get up, Abigail is awake and ready to go. And usually she has been for several hours. This morning, though, I awoke to find her dozing nearby, long past when she'd normally be up. She complains about having a headache, so she complained about having a headache, so we decided to take a walk through the forest to clear her head. So far, it seems to have had the opposite effect, though, and we've been walking in uncomfortable silence. It's been maybe an hour or so when we first noticed the buzzing. At first, it was very faint, like the sound of the wind or the rustling trees, but then it started to get louder and louder.
Fairies!
It's the first word she's said in ages. She pulls me closer to her as the buzzing gets closer. Sure enough, the source of the noise soon comes into view. Dozens of fairies, maybe even as many as 100, flutter past overhead. They form a cloud rushing through the forest, nimbly weaving over and under the branches. When I first saw fairies back in the clearing, their movements were graceful and delicate, but now they're frantic and urgent. The swarm travels right towards us, though they don't seem to notice or care about us at all. The buzzing has grown to an almost ear-splitting level, and I realize it comes from their wings. Like bees, their tiny wings beat rapidly to keep them up. They're a blur against the fairies' snowy-looking body. Suddenly, several of the fairies split off from the rest and dive towards us. I fling out my hands to protect myself, but they come to a halt overhead. This is my first chance to get a good look at them. Their bodies are smooth and pale blue, with a whitish tinge. Their eyes are beady and small, looking more like tiny flecks of obsidian than anything with sight. At first, it looked like they were wearing gowns, but then I realized that they look like clothes. What look like clothes are parts of their body. Colorful plumes help make each fairy distinct from one another. Rather than legs, their bodies taper off into a point, like little ballerinas. Like snowflakes, no two look alike. One of them turns a somersault, while the others hover anxiously.
Our queen!
Huh?
Is that you?
Huh?
Have you returned?
Huh? Their voices are identical, squeaky and raspy, yet impressively loud despite their tiny size. It takes a second for me to realize that they're addressing me.
I'm sorry. I'm not your queen. I'm just an ordinary human.
A human? Ordinary? Don't think so.
They crowd a little bit closer, their fingers grabbing the empty air as if to pick up and carry me away. I take a step backwards with Abigail still holding tight to my arm, but the fairies just creep in even closer, their wings beat hummingbird fast, distractingly loud.
I promise, I'm just a regular person. You're mistaken if you think I'm your queen.
A mistake? Have you seen her? We've been looking.
We haven't seen her. We haven't seen anything like her.
I have no idea what a fairy queen looks like, but I'm sure I haven't seen anything that fits the description of me.
How long has she been missing?
Besides me.
It's hard to say. Did you know? Time is a human concept.
Their answers aren't helpful at all. They at least understood my question, which means they have some knowledge of time. It doesn't make a difference, though. The rest of their swarm has moved on, the buzzing fading once again, but they don't seem bothered.
If we see her, I'll be sure to tell her you're looking.
That won't be needed. She surely knows. That's why she's our queen.
The fairies' peculiar way of speaking, in turn, is almost comical. Since they haven't left us alone yet, I assume that they're still expecting or hoping for something. I'm a little afraid to find out what.
Do the three of you have names?
We don't. We have no need. Names are for humans, too.
They all nod in unison, given how everything else about them seems to be insect-like. I just assume that they have a hive mind of sorts. It would fit with everything else I know about the forest. I'm getting a bit tired of all the different networks and connections. It's silly, but it feels a little like not knowing the password to a friend's Wi-Fi. To help keep them straight in my mind, I give each of them a name. The one with the purple flower is Kay. Anna has the blonde hair, and the last one is Frio. Beside me, Abigail tugs at my sleeve. Serendipitously, she's angled away from the competition, trying to lead me out of it. I turn back to the fairies, putting on my best customer service voice.
We have to go now. It was nice to meet you. I hope you're able to find your queen soon.
We're not gonna leave you alone. I don't want to turn my back on them, so I wait for them to say their farewells and leave. But, instead they come in even closer, causing Abigail to gasp.
Don't go! What if you stayed?
No!
You could be our queen.
You're weird.
You would do.
You're weird.
We could make it so.
Still weird.
It would be easy.
That's... If it's so easy to make a queen, why'd you bother looking for the queen? Alarm bells ring in my head. I start to step backwards with Abigail keeping right on me.
There isn't anyone else. Not everyone is suitable.
Sure.
But you are.
Sure.
Let us show you what it'd be like.
No.
We can give you a taste.
Weird.
Would that be alright?
No. They're buzzing and flittering slow as the three pairs of eyes stare at us. Abigail squeezes my arm. I move my mouth to say no, but the way their gaze pierces into my roots of me, the spot. I move my mouth to say no, but the way their gaze pierces into me, roots me to the spot, like tiny dancers adorned with glitter. Their skin shimmers in the low light, filtering through the clouds.
Medicine, come on, let's go.
But I can't, or rather, I don't want to. Not yet.
What if I know something useful, Abigail?
We know lots of things. Secret things, clever things. We can know you, too.
They're pests. Their buzzing is a little too loud, and their voice is a little too shrill. But...
You don't belong here. We can tell. But wouldn't you like to belong?
they creep a little closer in a synchronized motion. They're close enough now that I can reach out and grab one if I wanted to, or slap them away. I don't, though. A place to belong. Would they really offer that?
What exactly do you mean?
I can feel Abigail's grip tighten around my coat, but she doesn't say anything. Sensing an opening, the fairies circle dizzyingly around our heads.
The forest doesn't reject you, but it doesn't accept you either. We could change that, though. Whatever it is you want! Whatever you're searching for, if you help us. Wouldn't you like that?
With a jolt, I turn to face Abigail. I'm sure she knows what I'm thinking. If I want, there's only one thing. Freedom. Abigail stares back at me for a moment, and then presses herself against me. Looking up at the fairies, I nod.
Okay. Just a taste.
Excited, they dive downwards until they're level with my face. Abigail cringes but doesn't let go. As one, the fairies close in, placing their hands on my face, like they're checking my temperature. Their hands are frigid, painfully so. It's amplified by the fact that I haven't felt cold in days. My hands jerk upwards out of instinct, ready to pry them away, but I don't. Then one of the fairies moves their hand to cover my lips. One covers my ears, and the other covers my eyes. For a split second, I feel like I'm falling through the air. Then it all hits me.
All I see is black. I'm alone. And yet, hundreds of presences flood my consciousness all at once. I can tell they're the fairies, but I don't know how I can tell. I'm bombarded by their awareness like tiny darts, not using words or thoughts or intentions, but just feeling. They're somehow distant, as if behind a wall, but so present. I try to find the semi-familiar presences of Hey, Frio, and Anon, but they're indistinguishable from the rest. There's no individuality, no sense of identity at all. They're just the fairies as a whole. But I can feel what they're feeling. Panic and anger and hurt all churned together. The feeling of being lost, of not knowing where to go or what to do, but not being able to sit still. Though I can't tie it to any particular memory or event, the feeling hits me so strongly, so undiluted that I think I might cry. I can feel that they've been scared by something, but I don't know what that something is. Then, at last, I feel a nudge within my mind. The sensation of being noticed. The presence takes me in, welcoming me. It occurs to me that I no longer exist. I try to ask what's going on, but I don't need to. The moment the question forms, the presence with me starts to answer. Images play in my head, ones I've never seen before. They're grainy like an old film. If I try to focus on a particular detail, the whole thing becomes muddy. I can see flames burning away at the forest. The fire is so real that I can almost feel its warmth. But when I start to focus on it, that too vanishes. The presence of the fairies weighs on my mind, an uninvited audience to the next part. I can see a fairy stumbling alone, but something's wrong with it. I realize instantly, I can't feel its presence. Where it should be, there's just a gaping hole, so vast and profound that it hurts by sheer exclusion.
Galadora?
It's agonizing. I want to tear my heart out of my chest so I don't have to feel it anymore. The presence of the fairies, the whole nest, tries to reach out after it and fill the hole, but it won't allow itself to be touched. The moonlight overhead, which I crave, falls onto the lone fairy who hastens to escape it. The lone fairy flees, and the rest of them, the rest of us mourn. One word pulses through my head, both a condemnation and reassurance. One word, though I don't know what it means. Moonsick. Moonsick, 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 moonsick. The vision twists, and I can see a woman. But she isn't a woman. She's also a fairy, but not just. I'm so happy and relieved to see her that I just know she's the fairy queen. I can feel how much she misses the lone fairy. I know, because I miss her too. Desperately. I can see her searching, her hope never fading, until one day, she's gone. The loss is even greater this time. A sick mixture of guilt and shame plagues me, because I don't know where she is. I don't even know how long she's been missing. How could I have not noticed? The loneliness is so great that I want to do anything to erase it. Another silhouette flickers, just out of sight, but I can't keep track of it. We all have to watch it together, and then I realize it's me. But just like the fairy queen I saw before, it's also not me. Visions of time pass, months, years, centuries, and throughout all of them, all of the loneliness is gone. It all feels right. I could fix this.
Ah! The fairies removed their hands from me, and I burst back into the real world with a mighty gasp for air.
Madison, are you alright?
The fairies dart back up, away from the furious glare that Abigail gives them all. All I can feel now is her hand clutching me. I put my arm on her shoulder for support. My head spins, and for a second I think I might fall over. The dizzy spell passes soon. Once I'm confident I'm not going to collapse, I nod.
I'm fine. How long was I out?
Abigail's face flickers into a look of confusion. She presses her hand to my forehead.
Out? I didn't think they'd even begun.
What?
I watch the fairies struggling to comprehend how so much could have happened in an instant like that. There's no way.
We told you, didn't we? We aren't bound by time. Join us and you won't be either. Now that you've seen, and now that you've felt, will you join us?
Eyes wide, Abigail looks up at me. She doesn't have to say anything for me to know. She's begging for me to decline. I wish she could have felt how warm it was, how nice it was to belong like that. Yet, at the same time, it feels like a distant dream now. Something detached and fading. I try to remember the sensation, but I can't. It's water slipping through my fingers. It seems so real, but it wasn't. It was only a second. I can't sign my life away to the fairies for 1 second of visions. No matter how right it felt, no matter how comfortable, I'm not sure that I was seeing what they wanted me to see. I'm sure that I was just seeing what they wanted me to see. I smile at Abigail and then shake my head, rejecting the fairies.
I'm sorry, but I can't. Thank you for showing me what it would be like, though.
How can we persuade you? We need our queen soon. You could be our only hope.
I know you do. But I'm sorry. That just can't be me.
We hope you'll change your mind. We'll be waiting for you. We'll be waiting for a queen.
With that, they turn tail and dart off in the same direction as their swarm had gone. Soon, all trace of them is gone. Like they'd never ever been there.
Madison, are you sure you're alright?
Yeah, I'm sure. It was just a lot. Was that really that fast?
Yes. They touched your face and then a moment later you gasped.
That's insane. It felt like a long time. Like years had passed.
I think Jayla Dora is the queen. That's my theory. My game theory. Thanks for... Stick around, I'm not done yet. I think Jayla Dora is the queen. Probably. Which would explain why they can't find her. And the fact that Jayla Dora is forgetting that she's a fairy is another thing. Abigail looks troubled, staring off into the forest where the fairies disappeared.
Fairy magic is strange and beyond me. They're similar to the forest spirit, and yet...
Different, but in a way you can't put into words.
That's right. You certainly did see a lot, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess so. Have you ever met their queen? Or seen what she looks like?
Just once, long ago. She and the forest spirit are both guardians of the forest. Did you see her in your vision?
I think back to what I saw. As best as I can remember, the image shifts and shakes in my head, not wanting to be called to mind. More than what she looked like, I just remember how I felt. So happy and relieved to see her.
I did, but I didn't get a clear look at her. I knew who she was, but I don't know if I'd recognize her if I passed her on the street. Do you think you could mistake me for her, like they did?
Absolutely not. You're much prettier than she is.
Thank you. Abigail says it very matter-of-factly, as if she didn't just give me an enormous compliment. And she carries on like it too. She'd still... Me still my beating heart.
But to the fairies, I expect it's hard for them to tell the difference between humans. So maybe you looked like her to them.
I wonder how long the queen's been gone. It seems like they'd been coping just fine without her, until something happened to scare them.
Something like what?
Fire. Something hot and bright. Something burning. Something that hurt to think about.
I don't know. I think it had to do with fire, maybe? So much of what I saw felt real, but most of it wasn't.
Fire.
Worry creases her face.
What's wrong? Did you remember something?
No. It was just a thought.
Rather than elaborate, she fidgets with her hands. I don't push the subject.
Maybe that's enough fresh air for today. We can head back to the church.
All right.
I'm pretty sure I detected a hint of relief in her voice. For the first time, I lead the way home. At least I hope it's the way. I'm reasonably confident. At my side, Abigail remains quiet and is lost in her thoughts. With one hand, she clings limply to my sleeve, trusting my navigation. I don't disturb her, instead concentrating on remembering the path. It's to challenge myself. I'm sure that if necessary, Abigail would be able to lead us home from anywhere. Still, I'm beginning to fear that I've led us astray when the grim walls of the church start to come into view. A texture of relief and pride floats through me. It's almost a little bittersweet. I've come to think of the church as home, even though I never felt that way about the cabin. Despite the fact that the concept of home is just a formality now, something surrounding ourselves with walls and a roof doesn't change a whole lot. Clouds are beginning to settle overhead, muting the daylight and making everything murky. It feels fitting for the mood. Abigail speeds up a bit as we reach the door, and she is the first one inside. She sits down on the benches, fatigued.
Mind if I join you?
I gesture at the open spot beside her.
Please do.
Wordlessly, she rests her head against my shoulder.
Headache still?
She nods.
I'm afraid so. Our encounter there sure didn't help.
I'm sure.
They gave me headaches of sorts too. More of a notion that I can't get out of my head. Fairy's outstanding offer sits with me. As hard as I try, I can't fully push the idea away. If there isn't any other way out of this, then maybe a fairy queen would be preferable to being just a normal ghost. As long as I could still have Abigail with me. It's a last resort, though, because for as long as I can, I have to hold out hope that things can just go back to normal. That Tara and I can leave Eisenfeld the same way we arrived. And that we can take Abigail with us. Beside me, Abigail shifts her head just a little.
I'm sorry. Am I bothering you like this?
Not at all.
I wonder if she's close enough to hear my heart beating. Maybe I can't always be like this. But just for now, it's alright. Although it's been a couple days since we met the fairies and they made their offer, I haven't been able to get it out of my head. The visions themselves are just slush by now, with the memories of them having eroded into non-existence. But the feelings remain. The feeling of belonging and of freedom. There's something else I can't get out of my head, though, and she's sitting right beside me.
Madison, here they come.
Sure enough, a mother deer and her fawn come traipsing out of the bushes, no doubt on their way to get a drink. Starlight and the waxing moon make them look like ghosts at first, barely visible in the dusk. Upon entering the clearing, they see us, and both freeze. Abigail smiles encouragingly, reaching out a hand towards them. After a moment's hesitation, the fawn takes one tense step towards us, then another, and another.
This one's name is Alma.
Hello, Alma.
I greet it the same way I would greet my friend's dog or cat. Deciding we're not a threat, the mother deer goes to the pond while the baby one creeps even closer. Abigail never moves towards it, never pushes too far. Then it nuzzles her hand, leading into the soft scratching motion of her fingers.
Is this the deer that was watching you sing the other day?
Most likely. Alma's a little bit shy and sometimes prefers to keep her space.
You know this deer pretty well, huh?
Of course, we're very good friends.
To demonstrate, she strokes Alma's tawny neck. She doesn't have to sit up to do it. So since the fawn's face is just about level with her shoulders from where we're sitting on the ground, Alma closes her eyes, clearly enjoying the attention.
Would you like to pet her? I'm certain she'd let you.
Sure.
I lean forward, my hand outstretched like Abigail's was. But the second I move, Alma's eyes go wide and she bounds away into the darkness. Her mother watches, alarmed, from the shoreline.
Guess not.
Alma, come back. I promise Madison won't hurt you. She's just as sweet as you are.
I'm glad for the darkness, and that she can't see me blush. While she's not looking, I scoot a little closer to Abigail, just a bit. The hanging fairy baubles help to illuminate the young deer, who watches from a safe distance. Not of the fairies themselves. None of the fairies themselves seem to be around, though. It takes a bit with Abigail and I both sitting silently, but the fawn chooses to come back after all. Her steps are still reluctant and ready to dart away at any moment. She lets Abigail pet her, but watches me warily. While it happens, I don't mind. I'm content to just watch and enjoy seeing how happy it makes them both.
How long have you known Alma? It must have been a while for her to trust you like this.
Oh, yes. I've known her for her whole life. And I've known her mother since she was small, too.
Oh, that's cute. Abigail waves at her mother by the pond, who's returned to sating her thirst.
That's amazing.
I can only imagine the patience, time, and dedication it must have taken to earn the trust of the woodland creatures. Still, all things considered, I'm not surprised that they'd make an exception for someone like Abigail. He exudes comfort. I'm not sure how to describe it, and I've certainly never felt anything like it before. Maybe being close to her is just as comforting for the deer as it is for me.
Do you have any other animal friends that I'll get to meet?
Oh, certainly, if you'd like. I'm sure Mr. Bearer is asleep for the season, but perhaps once he wakes up. There are also a pack of wolves around, but for Alma's sake, that would be best left to another time.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Leave that for another time. I want Alma to, get injured along with her mother. The deer nuzzles her head in agreement, and Abigail coos contently at it.
None are quite so friendly as Alma and the rest of the deer, though. When I was a child, I wanted to have a deer for a pet. I thought that perhaps I could learn to ride one, like a horse. My sister and I would look for footprints in the snow and track them for as long as we could.
She looked up at me, smiling despite the melancholy tone her voice has taken on.
We never got very far, of course. Hardly a few feet into the forest. But to children like us, it was quite an adventure.
You must miss her a lot.
Abigail hardly ever mentions her family. I imagine that despite how long it's been, their memories must still be painful. She smiles thinly.
In a sense.
The deer is still luxuriating under her caress. Her hand moves rhythmically and gently, alternating between petting and scratching Alma's neck. She relaxes a little, resting against my side, but continues to pet the deer.
More than anything, I think I miss the days of wonder and awe, back when the forest and all of its creatures were still a mystery. Sometimes I wish it could be like that again, that it could be unknown.
You wish that you hadn't met them?
No, not at all. At least, not given the circumstances. I'm quite grateful for the companionship they've given me. For so many years, they've been one of the few sources of company that I've had. But while my love for them has never diminished, I've come to the conclusion that it's grown to the most it can grow as well. That's simply what the world had become for me. A small world of knowns, and nothing more.
She looks away from the deer and back at me. Few tears spot her face, but she doesn't look sad. In fact, she's beaming.
And then I met you, Madison.
Moonlight frames her face. The lovely night sky, fairy tale friendly deer, the ethereal women. It's an image straight out of a painting.
You were my first unknown in countless years. The first soul I could speak with that I didn't yet understand. And what a wonderful unknown you turned out to be.
I'm frozen again. Never had anyone say anything like that sweet to me. How am I supposed to respond to something like that? I try to calm my heart as it hammers in my chest. Looking at her soft expression only serves to accelerate its rhythm.
Thank you. That's really, really sweet. I think You're wonderful too.
Her free hand darts to grab mine before I can a chance to react as her eyes widen even more, nearly staring, startling the deer away.
Do you really mean that, Medicine?
I really do. You're an incredible person. I can't imagine having to go through what you've been through without losing any sort of capacity for joy. But here you are, still so full of energy and positivity. I hope that I can maintain that sort of optimism.
Abigail lets go of the deer and flings her arms around me in a tight hug. It's a pretty awkward position because of how we're sitting together, but I don't mind. I hug her back as best as I can, my only anchor in the storm of chaos that my life has become. Indignant Alma flicks her ears back and darts off towards the trees again. Without letting me go, Abigail cranes her neck to watch, this time not calling the deer back. Alma's mother bounds over to join her daughter, and they both go cantering off. Spraining off. I lean my head down to rest against Abigail's in what's become a familiar position. When we did get so comfortable when did we get so comfortable with each other? Being like this just feels natural. She parts from me after a moment, sitting up straight again. She tilts her head up to look at the stars, and I gaze with her. The night is mostly quiet and clear, except for a few wispy clouds. All is still and quiet and calm. Even the pains of the forest don't seem to reach us here.
I wouldn't call myself an optimist.
I blink, surprised by her sudden words.
I don't, nor have I ever really had much hope. There are small comforts and delights, but those aren't the same thing as hope. I can remember names and faces, and even dreams and aspirations that I once had. But do you know what the most curious part of it is?
No, I don't. What is it? Pray tell. She glances at me, and I notice tears in her eyes. Without thinking, I reach up and brush them away. No reaction. My heart pounds in my chest, nervous about something that I can't identify, or that maybe I'm unwilling to accept, afraid to be wrong about it.
What is it?
I can't remember how it felt for those dreams to be within reach. Even with my meager, lonely existence, there was still a chance. As unlikely as it would have been, there was always a possibility that someday something would change. Something might there was a light, so to speak, to look forward to. And the day that I died, that light went out.
More tears, replacing the ones that I wiped away, sparkle in her eyes. I move to repeat the motion from before, but this time she stops my hand, holding them in her own between us.
I never gave thought to what this unlife might be keeping me from. Not from the life I left behind, but whatever it is I would have been met with had I lived to the end of my days. For a long time, I considered myself lucky that I was free from hurt and pain and worry and loss. Even if they were predictable and boring, my years here in the forest haven't been unpleasant. But I've never been optimistic. I've never had anything to look forward to. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine meeting someone as perfect as you. Never did I imagine that I would be happy again.
I understand. I know what she's saying, and more importantly, what she means. A shiver runs down my spine.
But Madison, I don't deserve this happiness. Not at the cost of your own. I keep thinking how if I'd been a bit faster, or more decisive, perhaps I could have saved you that day in the snow. And that even if not, I don't know what future I've stolen from you. I don't know what awaits those of us who pass on. All I know is this unlife and its permanence, and the way that you deserved better.
She's crying now, fully. Her chest heaves into a sob, and I pull her closer to me, in as tight as a hug I can manage. As kindly and delicately as I can, as gently as she always treats me. I hold her and sway gently, as much as our position will allow. I can tell, just from the way that she cries, that she's been holding this in for a long, long time. I let her let it out. It must have hurt so bad to be feeling this way. I speak in a whisper. Maddie and Abigail sit together in front of the moonlit lake.
It's not your fault at all. Don't ever blame yourself for any of this. I know I don't. Ever since we met, that day in the forest clearing, all you've done is made things better for me. I don't know if I ever told you this, but during those first days after we met, seeing you again was all that I would look forward to. I'd go to bed thinking about you, and wake up the next morning thinking about you. And as for everything else, to be honest, I don't know how to feel about a lot of it. So much of it is just hard to process. I thought that it would get easier with time, but it hasn't. But there is one thing I know. One thing that I'm absolutely sure of.
I squeeze her hand, and I see her startle, just a bit. I have descriptive things, I realize. No matter what I'm missing out on, I'm sure I'd rather be here with you. I mean it. Every word of it. I've never really put too much thought into an afterlife, or anything like that, but any time spent here with Abigail is time well spent. And if that means eternity, then, well, so be it. Beside me, Abigail gazes into my eyes wondrously. Her lips move as she searches for the words she wants to say.
Madison.
She shifts so that the starlight caresses her face, perfect and yet not nearly as luminous as she is.
May I kiss you?
For once in my life, I don't overthink it.
Yes.
Her eyelids flutter and close. Her breathing trembles, then steadies. I empty my head of any other thoughts. Maddie kisses Abigail, and I press my lips to hers. So soft and so warm, as delicate as the fresh fallen snow, as sweet as cotton candy. Her form shivers against me, and I place an arm around her for support and for comfort, mutually. I can feel her getting more confident and more relaxed as 200 years of loneliness are melted away, one by one. We're left as just two souls sharing a first kiss under the night sky. It feels so right that after we've both been through so much madness and loss, that we're now able to share this moment of joy. Not just share, but to be able to offer it to each other. It's our light at the end of the tunnel. When we finally part, my lips still feel electrified. She regards me with a coy expression, but a happy one.
That was even more wonderful than the many times I had imagined it.
I hope it was worth the wait.
I'd wait another 200 years if it was the only way I'd get to kiss you again.
I promise. You won't have to.
To prove it, I lean forward to give her another peck, a quick peck on the lips. Abigail leans against my side yet again. We've done this several times before, but it's never felt like this. It's never felt this right. Everything feels a little bit brighter now. Who's next? No one yet, okay. Our next day passes blissfully. We wander the forest, seeing all our favorite spots. The comfort of our new relationship makes the time we spend together even more joyful. Everything is prettier than when it was with Abigail beside me. Of course, as has become our tradition, we end up back at the mystical fairy grove. We settle into our favorite spots by the shore with the perfect view of the pond. Especially, I love films. I've never been a big fan of romantic scenes. They always feel so forced. The soaring music, the obvious atmosphere, the cheesy dialogue, they're so divorced from real life that I just can't take them seriously. But here I am, watching the sunlight reflect off the shimmering water of the lake as the woman I love leans against me. I think that maybe those scenes aren't so realistic after all.
Madison,
What is it, sweetheart?
Cute. Already pet names. Sweetheart? I don't use pet names. It's not like me at all. But with her, it feels like it fits.
I know that I've said this before, and will probably say it many times in the future, but today and yesterday have been some of the happiest days of my life.
Mine too. And it's okay. I'll never get tired of hearing you say that.
She smiles at me, as soft as ever, but hidden in her expression is her tone of voice. I could detect a tinge of sadness. I touch her face, running my thumb across her cheek. She closes her eyes and leans into the motion.
Are you feeling okay?
Of course. Why wouldn't I be?
I don't know. You just looked a bit sad. Maybe it was my imagination.
Maybe you weren't imagining things. Who knows? I would expect her to deny it, but instead she nods.
You do know how to read me, don't you?
I do. What's wrong? You can tell me anything, I promise. Only if you want to talk about it, of course.
She was just close to me in response, resting her head against my chest.
This day is so lovely. I don't want to say anything that could spoil it.
You don't have to worry about that, Abigail. I love you, and that means I want to be here for you no matter what. We're going to have plenty of wonderful evenings, I promise. And being open with each other is the best way to make sure they stay wonderful.
She's been like me too. Usually on the first day of a relationship, I'm still a bundling bag of nerves. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I move too fast or too slow? But it's different with Abigail. That fear isn't there. I can't quite explain why. I just feel like I don't have to worry about her.
I was thinking about other happy days that I've had. How long it's been since then. And how the memories have since soured. How much have I told you about my sister?
Not much. You mentioned that the two of you were close, and that you spent a lot of time in the woods together, but that's it.
We weren't just close. Helena and I were inseparable. Whenever anything went wrong, she would always be there to protect me. She swore that that would never change. But fate had other plans for the two of us.
She trails off. Every other time she's mentioned her sister, it's always in passing. Her story last night about tracking deer is the only solid detail I have about her. At first I expected her to stay quiet, like before, but instead she keeps talking.
For as long as it's existed, Eisenfeld has had a curse, you could call it. A terrible monster who would destroy the village if given the chance. To appease its terrible rage, we would offer a sacrifice to it. Every generation, a new offering would be chosen. But it didn't just want flesh. The head priest would take the sacrifice into the forest to be offered to the horrible spirit. The sacrifice's soul and the head priest's body would both be consumed. Then, the new head priest would emerge, having taken the form of the poor sacrificed victim. It was a painful reminder of those we had lost.
You see...
When I found out that it would be a member of my family who was to be taken and given over, I wasn't shocked. There was only one thing that I cared about. That it wouldn't be my beloved Helena who was harmed.
Her voice wavers before she falls silent, before I can tell her that she's said enough. She speaks again. Each word shakes as it leaves her mouth.
I couldn't forget the joyous days of our childhood. I couldn't let such a kind soul suffer such a horrible fate. So, when the time came, I offered myself. I volunteered to die so that Helena could live. And in that very moment, when our fates were sealed, I looked at them, at Helena. And do you know what I saw?
Captured by her tragic story, I can't even answer. I don't move my head or my lips.
Relief. Not once did she try to stop me or change my mind. Not that I would have let her, but I don't think she even thanked me.
What the fuck?
My parents cried, of course, but they didn't argue either. Neither of them stepped forward to take my place. No one did.
What the fuck?
While I'm sure my sacrifice was appreciated, I was quickly discarded without even a token effort or gesture of appreciation. My sister, who had sworn to always protect me, had no difficulty accepting the fact that I would die for her.
What? She just gave you away? Just like that?
If death looms over you for long enough, it corrupts everything. Even love.
It didn't corrupt you.
Perhaps. Though I believe that that's why I'm still here today.
What do you mean?
The first step of the ritual involves separating the sacrifice's body from its soul. From what she told me, as she did it, those poor victims usually try to resist, begging for someone else to be taken. And when their souls are ripped away, they're too damaged to carry on. I didn't resist. I went peacefully. And so the gentle forest spirit, who I'd been raised to believe was some kind of demon, eventually came and took me away. And I've been here ever since.
Her words carry a sense of finality. Not knowing what else to do and still stunned by her story, I simply leaned closer to her. And her pull her into an embrace. There isn't any words that could be enough. Physical comfort is all I can offer. To my surprise, though, when she finally pulls away from me, she looks happier than before, just like I did earlier. She touches my cheek gently, and man leans in for a kiss.
Thank you for listening. I've told the one person who matters, and now I think I can heal.
I know, sweetheart. I love you. More than anything.
I love you too. More than anything.
She sighs contently and leans against my shoulder. She takes my hand, intertwines her fingers with mine. We sit there for a long time. We don't say anything. We don't even move. All we do is watch the sky and feel each other's heartbeats. I wake up with a headache, and I know that something's wrong. I'm alone. Abigail must have entangled herself from my arms at some point, leaving me on my own. I get up and pace around the church, not seeing her. After a bit, I find her outside its doors.
Good morning.
Good morning, my love.
Her lips smile, but her eyes don't. It's like I'm pretty familiar with by now. I slip an arm around her as I take my spot by her side.
Sleep okay?
Well enough. I'm sure all of my nights will be better now that they're spent beside you.
I can't help it. I kiss her on the cheek. And true love brightens her face.
How about you?
Pretty good. I woke up with, like, a bad feeling, though.
A bad feeling? About what?
I'm not sure. My head kinda hurts, so maybe that's it? Actually, now that I think about it, this is the first actual pain I've felt since turning.
It's not the worst headache I've ever had. Not by far, but it's enough to be annoying. It feels the same as being dehydrated or having a slight cold.
Aw, poor dear.
She stands on her tiptoes and kisses my forehead.
I felt the same, actually. I had hoped that stepping outside might help, but it seems not.
She rubs her temple, and I notice just how ragged her eyes look.
How long have you been out here?
A while. Perhaps an hour or so. I was afraid I'd wake you.
Nah, I slept right through. It's not just a coincidence that we both feel sick, is it?
Abigail purses her lips. Her brief silence is enough confirmation.
No, I doubt it is. It must be something to do with the forest.
The trees before us sway in the breeze. To me, they look like the same as ever. No traces of lingering sickness or pain.
You felt bad the other day, too. When we first met the fairies? Was it the same thing then?
Most likely. Changes in the air. Something's happening. And it isn't good.
I think of the fairies fleeing some unseen terror.
Is it Evelyn?
I expect her to shake her head. I want her to say no. But she nods.
I think so. I don't know what she's done or why, but this can't all be coincidence.
I nod, my thoughts turning to Tara and Morgan. I wish they would just get out of here. Leave me to my fate and escape. Let Evelyn do whatever it is she's doing while we're across the ocean, safe. No, that won't happen, though. Tara's not the type to back down from a fight. Except this time, I know she's hugely outmatched, even with Morgan's help.
What about the forest spirit? You said it's a guardian of the woods, right? Why doesn't it stop her?
I'm sure it's doing what it can, but it's just as intimately connected to the forest as the fairies are. Far more than you or I. So as the forest itself weakens, so does it.
Worry creases her brow.
Is there any way we can help?
Not that I know of.
I can tell she's not really happy with the answer.
Maybe we can think of something together. There has to be something we can do.
Yes, Perhaps.
She looks up at me adoringly.
I feel like I can accomplish anything with you by my side.
Her loving words are nearly enough to counteract the worry that I feel.
We've already beaten death. There's no way Evelyn can stop us. At least not a second time.
First, we just have to figure out how. Abigail slips her hand into mine, where it fits comfortably.
Perhaps you'll make an optimist out of me yet, Madison. Shall we go for a walk?
Absolutely.
I'm glad that our changing relationship hasn't changed our routine. The walks around the forest keep me grounded. They're enjoyable, but also a solemn reminder of how trapped we are. My dream of finding a way out hasn't disappeared or diminished at all. It's just evolved to include Abigail, too. There's no way I'm leaving these woods without her. We chat idly as we stroll, enjoying the newfound comfort and intimacy that comes from being lovers, rather than just friends. The pain in my head is still there. I'm sure Abigail still suffers from hers as well. But it's easy enough to ignore, in lieu of the pleasure that simply being together brings. We've reached the edge of the fairy clearing, where we always seem to end up. Abigail is glued to my side. I wouldn't have it any other way.
We're probably a little bit early to meet Alma, although they sometimes come by at this time. This grove is one of the easier places for the animals to come drink during winter, so it attracts all kinds of wildlife.
Yeah, I've noticed all kinds of tracks in the snow leading around here.
He nods, pleased. But then we enter the grove itself, and my blood runs cold. Abigail and Madison stand before a stark red bloodstain on the snow. Just ahead, lying prone on the frozen ground, is a fawn that I know is Alma. It's clearly dying, not already dead. With a shriek, Abigail drops my hand.
No!
I can feel her anguished cut through me like a knife. Visceral and burning. Dashing over, hands outstretched, she falls to her knees and presses a tender hand against its snout. A small motion confirms that it's alive. If just barely, it leans into her, either in fear or in recognition. Eyes wild.
No! What's happening to you?
I move closer too as well, though not so close as to crowd them, and what I witness makes my stomach churn. Gaping wounds perforate the poor thing's body, staining the ground red with blood. They look like knife wounds or bite marks, but there's no visible damage or puncture. It's more like its body simply opened up. Abigail flails her hands, clearly wanting to help but afraid to touch it and cause it more pain. She turns to me, teary-eyed.
Madison! What do I do?
I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to start. I kneel down beside Abigail. The lacerations covering Alma's body are clear and even, but varying in size. Some are minute, so small that it to be nearly invisible. The largest is a gash that runs the length of her torso.
How does this even happen?
Through choking sobs, Abigail manages to answer.
Magic! These are not normal injuries. It's the forest. The forest is sicker than I thought. And all of its children are hurting for it too.
So, you get headaches while Alma gets this? I shudder. Is it random? Could it have just as easily been one of us lying here, bleeding out? Or maybe our ghostliness is more of a blessing than I thought. In this case, though without it, we wouldn't be affected by the forest illness at all. Leaning over, I gently stroke the deer's head. Its breathing is restless and agonized, but it seems to recognize my presence. My thumb brushes against a wound that I didn't notice, and I jerk my hand back while Alma groans in pain.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry!
The deer's blood is visible, is viscous, unnaturally so, and slick like motor oil. It sticks to my fingers, stretching and webbing. It's neither warm nor cold, it's unnervingly neutral. I try to rub it off in the snow, but my fingers pass through the ice and dirt, of course. My hand trembles with the disgusting feeling that it'll never be cleaned again. Abigail is still beside herself, wringing her hands impotently. There's nothing that either of us can do, just sit there and wait as Alma passes away in agony. But then, a tremor reverberates through the clearing. The ground shakes, the snow is rattled with the branches. Fairy baubles dance up and down. Abigail and I both face the forest in the direction of the sound, already knowing what's coming. The forest spirit strides into view, as tall as the trees, but no taller. It brushes past trees with no notice of the branches and snow as it disturbs. As it draws into the clearing, it acknowledges us with a level gaze. It's been a while since Abigail and I have seen it, gone by to see it. The deer looks up at the forest spirit with pained recognition, its eyes wide and breathing shallow with pathetic relief. Abigail looks up at it too, cheerfully, clearly glad to see it. The spirit looms closer, its great presence alone seeming to revitalize the air around us. My headache vanishes in an instant. The spirit stretches out one immense finger, drawing from head to tail across the deer's mangled body. The two lock eyes as the spirit retracts its hand. It curls the finger inward, calling Alma to it. In one motion, the deer's eyes roll backwards as life exits its body. At the same time, its spectral form, ephemeral and perfect, rises from its corpse. Boundless as in life, it gives us one last glance, and then it springs across the swollen snow, before vanishing into thin air, gone to join some spectral herd somewhere. Abigail wipes her eyes and tears and stands. She moves to the spirit's side and gently pats it.
Thank you. I'm glad you came.
The spirit's shoulders sag, its branches hanging low and still despite the slight breeze. I notice what looks like burn marks on its hide, where a part of its wood skin is blackened and dark. Without a doubt, it's everything's doing as well. I'm reminded of an old man putting a child to rest. Sorrow and surely pain as well weigh heavily on it. I wonder how it knew to come. Did it feel almost pain, or perhaps Abigail's? Bearing the emotional weight of an entire ecosystem, my heart aches for the spirit as well as for Abigail, who seems to forever hurt by her powerlessness. Spirit and I meet eyes again. I bow my head in reverence. I don't know it well enough to speak to it like Abigail, but for Alma's sake, I'm glad it's here. It stoops down and picks up the deer's corpse. Blood now runs freely from the injuries, somehow not clotting, and I have to look away. Without a second thought for us, the spirit turns and leaves once more, going back the way it came. Abigail and I watch it go, and oh, the encounter could have lasted more than a minute or two. Long after the last of its footfalls have faded away, Abigail and I sit in silence. I hold her close until finally we return to the church. The rest of the day passes quietly, the early euphoria of our relationship being overshadowed by fear of the shifting forest. Though Abigail is never more than an arm's reach away from me, and usually closer, she's nearly silent. My headaches return not long after leaving the fairy clearing. Stronger than before, now some combination of pain and sorrow keep us both quiet. At some point, I reach for her hand out of habit, and that's when that's when it happens. My hand passes right through hers, as if she isn't even there.
Abigail!
I say the first thing that comes to mind. With a fright, she leaps up, searching around for the source of my panic. She sees she didn't even feel it.
Look!
I reach for her hand, and once again, it passes right through. Just like when we first met, before we could even speak with each other. She understands instantly.
Oh no. Oh no, no.
What's happening? Are you okay? Do you feel any different?
I don't know either. I don't know enough about magic. Can we start to guess why this might have happened to her?
Should we take you to the forest spirit? Or get you some rest? Or...
Madison, it's not me.
What?
It's you.
I look down at myself. Sure enough, my whole body is slightly transparent. I can see the foot of the church through myself. Vertigo hits me. I stumble. Abigail lurches forward to catch me, but of course she isn't able to. Dread fills my heart. Please. No. Not again.
What do I do?
I stab my hand. A pathetically ridiculous action. I can't even feel it. My own hand goes through me. Shaky, Abigail stands up, holding her head.
Something's happening to the forest. This must all be connected somehow. It's simply impossible otherwise.
What could Evelyn be doing?
I know that she has to be involved. I don't even have to ask. I don't think
I
so.
have no idea. Nor do I know why she's choosing now of all times to do it.
Do you think the forest spirit can help us?
The Force Spirit is all I can think of. The only ally that we have, at least it's a powerful one. Abigail looks away. I'm sure the spirit was her first thought too.
Perhaps we can try.
Wordlessly, she heads off to the church, and I follow behind her. The happiness and joy that we shared so recently has evaporated entirely. I wish that life, whatever form it takes for us, could just slow down, that we could have more than the moment of rest. But I know that that's impossible while Evelyn is still out there, and I know that one day or another, we are going to have to be the ones to deal with her. But what I don't know is if we even have a chance.
Do you know what's going on? Has something like this happened to you before?
It hasn't. This is the first I've seen of it. But I think I know. I think that the forest is having trouble keeping you here. The magic is getting weaker too.
So does that mean that...
I leave the implication unspoken. Abigail halts in her tracks, facing me with a fiery determination.
No, I won't let anything bad happen to you. Not again. I promise, Madison.
I don't know if she has the power to keep that promise, but I can only hope so.
Okay, I trust you.
I really do. Believing in Abigail is my only option, but if it weren't, it's like you said, together, we can get through anything. I try not to think about what it would mean if I'm wrong. I'm not even totally sure myself. Would I just cease to exist, or go to the afterlife? Something else? None of the options are especially appealing, and I know that dwelling on that will only make me feel worse. If I just focus on the here and now, and on sticking close to Abigail. I mean, I can tell that she's right when she says the whole force is affected. I will hydrate. But I need to get more water because I ran out of water already. I'll go hydrate. I'm checking my posture. I need to get water though, so I'll be back in like a quick second. I've hydrated and stretched and postured my check. My bones are cracking. Aside from the harsh winds, everything else feels subdued somehow. The trees don't seem to stand as tall, and the leaves and needles look dull. Even by wintry standards, what little sunlight there is feels dreary rather than bright. A little snow falls from the sky, but the heavy clouds overhead promise more, and soon. It occurs to me that we've been walking longer than we normally have. Instead of changing the forest path to get us there quickly, we're following the regular route through the trees.
Hey, why aren't we taking a shortcut through the forest? Is it too sick to let us do that?
Wringing her hands, Abigail looks away.
It's more that I'm afraid to try. If I push myself too hard, then...
She leaves the consequences unspoken. I can imagine what they might be, the same as what's happening to me, or worse. Whatever exactly that is.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. It's okay. Take as much time as you need.
It's been so long since I visited the spirit. Our brief moment in the grove with Alma was the first time in days. I wonder if it's missed me.
Of course it has. Who wouldn't?
You're far too sweet, Madison.
She noses her head against me. The angle is a little awkward since we're still walking, but it's nice. But then she jerks away like she was stung.
Oh, you're back!
Back?
Her hand envelops mine, smooth and soft like always, rather than passing through me.
Oh!
Just because she can, she leans forward and gives me a quick peck on the lips.
I was so worried.
Me too.
I run back arms and sides, making sure that I'm all there. Everything seems to be in order. Legs,
Hopefully it's permanent.
legs again. Boob.
Indeed. It's not too much farther to the spirit either. We should hurry.
Sweat makes my brow glisten a little. She's definitely still feeling strained, even though I can tell she's trying to hide it.
Don't push yourself too hard, sweetie.
I won't.
Still, despite her words, the longer we walk, the more visible a toll it seems to take on her. Her steps slow down even though she wanted to hurry, and her breathing sounds labored.
Are you sure you're alright?
I'm fine. It's just...
Rubbing her eyes, she shakes her head. Right then, a pile of snow hits the ground. A few feet away from us. Looking up, I spot a tree, drooping, its boughs angled down as if bent.
It's the forest again. Not me alone.
She voices what I already knew.
Something terrible must have happened for it to be this way.
I'm unable to feel the force like she can. All I can do is watch and worry.
Just now? Or at least today?
Maybe. Or we may only now be feeling the effects. I'm not sure.
I can tell by the frustration in her voice that she's nearly as in the dark about all of this as I am. I have to remind myself that what she knows she only picked up by intuition and years of observation. I'm fortunate to have a guide as knowledgeable as she is about our situation. Even if she doesn't know everything, I know when we're getting close to the grove of ancestral trees. From the change in the air and the way the trees are larger than before, the profound sense of being watched and of primal energy is still present. But even that feels mellowed down. Or maybe strained. Through everything, there's also the acrid. There's also the the fucking smell of smoke. Suddenly, Abigail lets out a yelp of horror and dashes forward.
Abigail!
I follow right on her heels.
Oh no.
It doesn't take long to discover what she found. Where once there was a mighty tree, all that remains is a blistering and charred husk, blackened by flames. A painful buzzing penetrates my head, nearly unbearable, and all I can do is watch in horror as a foreign sorrow emanates. Even I can tell that this is the forest crying out, here at the locus of its pain. Even I'm affected. I can't imagine how Abigail must feel. Her fingers run across the damaged wood as if searching for a sign of life. I have to remember that this isn't just any part of the forest. This is its heart, its very soul. For as long as it was her home.
How did I not know? I've been so happy these few days that I must have blinded myself to the pain of the forest.
From behind, I wrap my arms around her, pressing my face against her shoulder.
I'm sorry. It's not your fault, though. Even if you knew, you couldn't have changed it. If anything, we were lucky to have those few days.
She clings to me. Binding my arms into an even tighter embrace. I can feel her cry against me. My own uselessness feels like more of a curse than death ever was. I wish there was some magic word or spell I could use to make things better. All I can do is hug her tightly and warmly, and hope that I'm as much of a reassurance for her as she is for me. And without warning, I once again see my arms go transparent, and the feeling of Abigail against me disappears. Although this time it's not as big of a shock, it's still a reminder that we don't have long to wait. Abigail notices and studies herself alone.
Let's keep going. The spirit must be around here too.
Why doesn't it stop Evelyn? Isn't that its job as guardian?
It probably can't. I'm sure it wants to, but it relies on the forest for strength. So if the forest is weak, then it must be too. In fact, that may be Evelyn's intention.
The sinking feeling in my stomach intensifies. If he's even stronger than the force spirit, then what hope do we have? I don't voice that fear though. I'm sure Abigail's already worried about the same thing. It isn't much longer before we encounter the spirit. At first, we almost miss it. The forest spirit stands idle in a clearing, as if lost in thought. It barely seems to notice us when we approach it. A slight tilt of its head is the only acknowledgement we get. It's small. Smaller than I've seen it before. It's barely as tall as I am. The light in its eyes, usually bright and terrifying, have gone dim. It looks more like the wounded deer from the clearing the other day, and being who helped it pass on. Within the trees it protects, its branches sag and are bare. A few have jagged edges, as if something snapped them off. None of the wildlife that usually accompany it is around. Instead, it seems to be alone and abandoned. Though it hasn't been long since we saw it last, it looks significantly pained. I wonder if its salvation of Alma was taxing on it. Abigail cries out again, just like when she came across the burned tree. As anguished as she sounded then, this time it's even worse. I hang back as she runs to its side, not wanting to intrude on a private moment. She places a hand on its leg, pruning something that I can't make out. Though the spirit tilts its head a little bit more to face her, the motion is stilting and janky. As exhausted and sick as Abigail seems, the forest spirit seems to have it 10 times worse. It makes a mournful sound, a deep and sonorous hum. It seems to echo and reverberate off the trees around us. I can understand it like Abigail can. The pain and suffering in its tone is obvious. Abigail presses a cheek against it, patting the creature gently, the same way she sometimes comforts me. I look down at myself, shimmering and transparent, and I'm pretty sure we won't be getting any assistance from the spirit. A wave of nausea hits me as I ponder just what that means. I don't have any backup plans if Abigail does that. She doesn't mention them. If my only choice is to stay like this and hope my condition doesn't get any worse, ever since I came here to the forest, it felt like I haven't had any control over my own fate. I can't help but worry this will be the final nail in the coffin, perhaps literally. I fidget, adjusting my scarf and hood and glasses countless times. Abigail remains close to the spirit, pacing slow circles around it as she talks to it softly. Wonder what she's saying. Sometimes the spirit will hum or make a gesture that could be a nod. All the while I keep my respectful distance. At some point I realize that it's snowing. I don't know how long it's been going on. As some of the snow settles on the spirit's broad shoulders, it doesn't look festive or pretty, it just looks pitiful. The spirit sags, bearing the weight of the world. I'm not sure how long I wait. I don't rush Abigail at all. This could be the last opportunity she has to speak with the forest spirit, judging by its condition. I'm sure she's thinking the same thing. I flit between solid and intangibility. So many times that I stopped keeping track, I just watched the two of them. Finally, Abigail pulls herself away from the spirit. She approaches me, looking like she wants to say something, but doesn't. Her eyes say it all, though. I try to hug her, but she softly shakes her head, and instead escorts me away, back into the forest. Though she never looks back, I do. Just once. The spirit is lonely. The spirit's lonely eyes watch us go. Heavy snow batters us while we walk. Though of course its chill doesn't reach us. Our Our visibility is effectively zero. Too weak to even alter the path of the forest, Abigail clings to my side, trusting me to lead us back to the church. Although I maintain a brave face, I'm not fully confident in my ability to get us there. The blizzard calls to mind memories of the day I died, although I don't let myself dwell on them. I'm not alone this time. I have someone more to live for. Our journey is strenuous. We move at a glacier pace. But it's the fastest that Abigail can manage. Her steps are heavy and slow. As much as I want to urge her along, I know that I can't. I'm glad that she's watching the ground and her feet rather than me, so that she doesn't have to see the worry on my face. Every time I think that I've got this whole ghost thing down, something new arises to complicate it all over again. And this time I don't even have Abigail's experience to guide me. What happens if she loses the ability to walk altogether? Or to speak? What happens if the magic that keeps me here runs out? The occasional flicker of my body makes that a very real concern right now. I hold tightly to her hand, feeling the anchor of comfort and security that right now, but even that has grown clammy and cold. Swallowing a lump in my throat, we march on. Trees bow in the wind, trying to turn their backs against it for the first time that I can remember. There aren't any woodland creatures out and about. No mice, no rabbits, no chirping birds, not even a panicked deer phasing in and out of existence like me. It may as well just be me and her and no one else in the universe.
Come on, I'm sure we're almost there. It can't be much further.
I say the words for my own sake as much as for hers. Though in truth, I have no idea if I'm right or not. For all I know, we could be heading in the total opposite direction of the church. Even then, once we arrive at the church, I'm not sure what to do. Will she get better with time's rest? Will I? Right now the church is just a goal. It gives us something tangible to work towards, something to keep our feet moving, slowly or not.
I'm sure you're right.
Her voice is barely a murmur. I only hope that she's saving her energy on purpose. I'm afraid to ask. I wonder how much of what's happening is by the mayor's design. While everything stemmed from her, it's impossible to know how much was deliberate and how much was simply a ripple effect from what she's done. I wonder if she ever considered us a threat, or gives us any thought at all. If she doesn't, then maybe we can use it against her. Of course, first we have to reach a point where we can do that. During a momentary lapse in the blizzard, I'm able to make out a welcome sight in the haze, a warped and curled tree that I distinctly remember from an earlier trip.
Look, you recognize that tree too, right? I'm pretty sure you were the one who showed it to me the first time. We're almost home.
Abigail nods weakly, though she doesn't say anything. I squeeze her hand, trying to impart some strength into her. It kills me to see her like this. I'd give anything to be able to help her.
Almost there, you've got this.
She nods again, unable to do or say any more. Except, she doesn't stop nodding. Like a bobblehead, I tug her along, trying to lead her to the rest of the short way, but she's rooted to the spot.
Listen.
And then she collapses, and the world goes black. I jolt and choke on nothing as I gasp for a breath that I didn't actually need. Abigail has fallen to her knees. I even feel her hands slip out of mine. I try to take the half step across. A moment later, it's black. It takes a moment for me to understand why I immediately wished that I hadn't. Oh my god, I just stopped existing for a second. Profound dread grips my heart. Looking down at myself once again, I see right through my hand and arm, snow accumulating beneath us. Not good. This is extremely not good. I collapse to the ground beside Abigail, but at least of my own accord, I try to shake her by the shoulder, but it takes several tries before I can maintain a form long enough to even touch her.
I'm sorry, Medicine. I just need a little break.
With visible effort, she turns to look at me. I don't think she even realizes what's happening. But then I phase into non-existence. Another moment, and then I come back. Horror is clearly etched onto her face. Once I'm hitting reserve of strength, she lunges towards me and grabs my hand immediately. Everything goes back to normal.
Madison, are you okay? Can you hear me?
I'm fine now.
I hold her hand a bit tighter to reaffirm it.
Are you okay, though?
I'm just a little tired, is all.
She pushes herself up again, looking more than a little tired. Immediately she sways and nearly falls, but I catch and steady her. She leans into me, and I pull her into a hug.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Gently I stroke her hair. In truth, I'm terrified. And I don't want her to see that. I'd only make things worse. I guide Abigail over to a fallen tree, where we sit down, indifferent to the blizzard. Even though the church isn't much farther, I don't want to push her too much right now. I wrap my arm around her as we sit, and hold her close.
Where can we go for help? Maybe if the forest spirit sees how rough it is for us.
Oh, she shakes her head.
Believe me, it would if it could. But I fear that it's even weaker than I am right now. It's much more in tune with the forest than me, so it's suffering the effects even more strongly.
All of this because Evelyn killed one tree?
It wasn't just any tree. It was one of the ancestral trees. The oldest one. They're the heart of the forest. All of its strength comes from them.
I can't pretend to understand their importance, but I know that Abigail isn't exaggerating. Not at a time like this.
So what do we do? There has to be some sort of solution, right? Can we plant another tree or something?
Now that I say it, none of the idea is ridiculous. We don't even have the centuries it would take for a new tree to grow up as big and strong as the one that was killed.
The forest spirit is supposed to become the next one. All of the ancestral trees were once spirits like the one you've met.
What's stopping it? The mayor?
Her hand clenches around my shoulder, where she was holding on tightly.
That's right. I hadn't even realized.
Realized what?
Groaning, Abigail sits up straight. So long as we're close like this, it seems like I'm able to maintain my physical form.
This spirit can't pass on its own. It needs the help of the Fairy Queen. That's one of her duties to the forest.
But there's no fairy queen right now.
Yes, which means that there's no one to complete the ritual.
The rest goes unspoken as we both come to the same realization. An awful one.
Madison.
I know. There aren't any other options, are there?
None that I know of.
I close my eyes and take a deep breath, heading off the wave of fear that I know is coming.
I'm sorry, again.
It's okay. You don't need to apologize. Really.
But...
Taking both her hands in my own, I turn to face her, understanding her eyes close halfway as her lips part to meet mine. Parts of me wishes I could spend an eternity like this, together, warm, with the woman I love. But even that isn't an option anymore. Our kiss ends far too quickly, although I'm not sure it could have ever been enough. When we part, there are tears in Abigail's face. I'm not sure if they're mine or hers.
It'll be okay somehow. I know it.
I'll be with you, no matter what.
I know. Thank you. Seriously. I couldn't do this without you.
I love you.
I love you too.
As one, we turn and face the forest again, putting the church behind us. Resigning myself to what comes next, I point in the direction we need to go.
Let's go visit the fairies. I'm sure they're still looking for a new queen. Let's go visit the fairies. I'm sure they're still looking for a new queen.
No, I think I saved it. I think I opened the menu and really was in a weird spot that screwed it up. Once again, we reach the grove with the fairy's nest. It occurs to me that it's the only part that seems unaffected by the forest's sickness. The trees are just as vibrant as ever, and the pond is just as crystal clear. We stumble into the middle, near the shore of the pond. Abigail takes several woozy steps, and I hold her shoulder to keep her steady. Then I flicker, and she starts to fall. Barely manage to keep her balance. We get days or even hours to find another solution. We might not even have minutes.
Hello?
I call out, a bit surprised that none of the fairies have come to greet us. I watch the trees and listen for the buzz and flutter of wings. But I remain silent and still.
Hello? Fairies!
It feels a little absurd and on the nose, but I don't know what else to say. There's no response.
Please, we need your help!
Might as well be shouting into the void. There's not even a single rustle. I noticed that the birds who used to nest in the bushes seem to have abandoned this place. Tendrils of fear creep through me, as if the fairies are gone too.
Madison,
I turn towards Abigail, but she's not even looking at me.
Madison.
She just murmurs my name over and over. I steel myself and face forward for her.
If you can help us, I'll find you a queen. Even if it has to be me.
My voice sounds stronger than I feel. There's no reaction. My heart pounds, feeling like it's going to burst out of my chest. Seconds pass. Nothing. Beside me, Abigail has fallen silent, swaying on her feet, but looking as if she might collapse. All her trust and hope has been placed on me. I can't let her down. I won't let her down. Just as I gather my breath to yell out again, I start to hear a faint buzzing sound, deep in the trees. It flickers far away, but getting closer. I realize it's many somethings. Tiny lights spark up to life, woven throughout across the trees like Christmas lights. Those and the growing buzzing heard of arrival of the fairies. They burst from the trees as a swarm nearly enough to darken the sky overhead. Like before, three break apart from the rest and swoop towards us. I recognize them as the three I spoke to before, the ones I named Hey, Anan, and Frio.
You're back! To be queen? We've been waiting.
They watch inquisitively while the rest of the swarm hovers overhead. It isn't what I want. I still barely know what being a queen would entail. Much like a fairy queen, all I have is one short vision. But it's not like I have time to research or to learn. There's no time for anything else. It's this or disappear forever, and leave Abigail to whatever fate she's suffering. Of course, that's not an option I've been willing to consider. I put on the sternest face I can and lock eyes with the fairy in the middle.
Only if you can help us.
Wordlessly, the three fairies dart forward, inspecting Abigail and me. They communicate silently with each other, leaving me to wonder what they're saying and thinking. A minute later, they return to their position in front of my face.
Name your your terms. But are you sure? We think we know.
If you make us human again and stop whatever it is that's happening to us, then I'll make sure you have a queen, whether it's me or someone else.
A queen! Who else could it be? We've spent so long looking.
We lived in the town. Have we looked at a weird cat that talks English in a weird posh accent?
There's not much time left! For you or for us!
Wait, what do you mean? What are you running out of time for?
She'll make her move! Haven't you seen? The moonsick one.
Moonsick. There's that word again.
Moonsick one. You mean Evelyn?
Evelyn. A human name. It must be her.
I don't really follow, but there's no one else they could be referring to. There's so much that I want to ask, but can't right now.
How long do we have?
Until the moon is at its brightest. That's when she's strongest.
The winter thing.
Will you be ready then?
I'll have to be.
I haven't been paying much attention to the moon, but I know that I can't be more than a week until it's full. Perhaps, probably less. I really wish I had Tara's stupid shirt to use as a reference right now. Tara. In all of this, I haven't even really been considering that. By becoming human again, not just a ghost, I'll be able to see her. That's at least one big upside, although I don't know what we'll even be catching up. Where we'll even be catching up. Begin catching up. Still, it's something else to figure out later. Facing the fairies, I nod.
Okay.
We can start preparing. Are you ready? It won't take long.
Yeah. I just need a moment to get ready too.
The fairies split off and rejoined the rest of their kind, not bothering to respond. That's fine by me. I turned back to Abigail, who's been silent throughout this entire thing. At first I thought maybe she'd passed out, but instead she's watching with anxious eyes.
Medicine, are you sure?
Softly, she leans against me. Well, she kind of falls.
Yes, I'm sure.
The fairies have all gathered nearer the pond, and close to one of the trees. They watch us intently, ruining the chance of any private moment. I kiss Abigail's cheek and feel her nuzzle against me for a moment.
I love you, Madison.
She says it with more strength than she's been able to muster so far.
I love you too.
We look into each other's eyes for one last moment. Then, I turn and stride towards the fairies. I don't let myself look down. I don't let my hands shake. I keep my steps measured and even. I only glance back once, where Abigail is watching me. Then Hay, Frio, and Anan descend once more. Frio loosely grips a crown of woven flowers and leaves as out of the season as the rest of their grove. I must say that it doesn't feel real, but to tell the truth, it's been a long time since anything has.
Is it time? We hope it is. Just put this on.
That's it. All I have to do is put on the crown?
That's all for you. Is that too much? We'll do the rest.
Okay. Frio hands me the crown. I let it rest on my palms. It's light, barely noticeable. The flowers are all woven together so deftly that I have to wonder if it was made by magic. It's also slightly warm, like it had just been sitting in the sun for a while. I swallow the lump in my throat. This is what's best for everyone. Not just for me or Abigail, but for the whole forest.
Maddie now wears a beautiful, delicate flower crown.
With one swift motion, I reach up and place the crown on my head. It fits perfectly, as if it was made for me. I wonder if it was. The moment it touches my hair, the fairies start to move. They chatter out loud, but there are so many of them speaking that it's impossible to hear what they're saying. I don't even know if they're human words. Altogether, they sound like a forest of rustling leaves. I shut my eyes as I feel a tingling sensation. It starts at the top of my head and slowly works its way through me. It's not uncomfortable at all, but it also isn't anything ignorable. Something soft brushes against my face and hands. It feels like snow, but isn't cold. And when it melts away, there's no trace of wetness left behind. An invisible force feels like it's tugging me in every direction at once, but I stay rooted to the spot. A light scent of pine fills my nose. Somehow, it's nostalgic.
As Abby is crowned the Fairy Queen, with her outfit changing to match her new role, her simple jacket changes into a long, frilly green dress with white lace, decorated with blooming flowers.
I open my eyes, still in the middle of my metamorphosis. Warmth spreads through my body like a hot cup of coffee, and with it comes understanding. Of the forest, and how I'm a part of it. I'm acutely aware of its existence, tuned to its precise frequency. I imagine this must be what Abigail meant by being connected. Memories that aren't mine start to run through my head. A movie that I can't shut off. Visions of trees sprouting from the earth and growing skyward, and of clouds forming and then falling apart. Each denizen of the forest, every tree, every deer, even the forest spirit itself, come to mind at once, feeling like old friends I haven't seen in a while. None of it feels new. It's not intrusive or foreign. Rather, this knowledge feels like something that's always been there, but without my awareness. Or maybe something I'd forgotten. It's comfortable. And still the fairies dance overhead, their rustling chants even louder as they perform their ritual. I wonder if all fairy queens are inaugurated this way. And at the same moment I wonder, I know instinctively that they aren't. Visions of a beautiful woman whom I immediately recognize as the missing fairy queen come to mind. And with her comes a longing, a feeling of something missing. Then as my thoughts turn, the vision and the longing are gone too. I can feel the rustle of cloth against my skin as even my clothes acknowledge the changes, taking on a life and form of their own. They lengthen and stretch and puff out, becoming a dress more elaborate and beautiful than anything I've ever worn before. Living, breathing flowers bloom from its hem right before my eyes, matching the crown on my head. I feel the magic work its way through, over, and around me, enveloping tightly. And then, as the ceremony comes close to an end, I start to feel it drain out of me. It seeps down and out, and back into the earth and air, returning to the forest that lent me its strength and trust to take on this role. As I heave a deep breath, the enormity of the responsibility that's been placed on me feels heavy, but not unbearably so. If anything, I'm reassured by the competence and power that I can simply feel that I have. I'm not invincible. I know that much. But for the first time in ages, I feel like I'm in control. I stumble, just a little bit, as my feet touch the ground that I never knew I'd left. The instant that I do, the last of the shifting magic leaves me, although I can still feel it as part of the forest. Without anyone saying anything, without any confirmation, I simply know. It's done. I've become the Fairy Queen.
Damn. That is a lot taken. Great voice acting for that part. I love it. Oh god. And that's chapter 4 already. Dang. That's what a way to end a chapter. Crazy. It is quite the way to end chapter. A whole last coronation to end off one chapter. Damn. I like how even like the chapter card, the save file, has it's just her in the Fairy Queen attire. We don't really notice that. Just think it looks pretty. Like if you look back at every single other chapter card, it's the same. It's her jacket usually, but nope. Just for chapter 4, it's the Fairy Queen outfit. Dang. Why did I save over there? Why did I save over here? I don't get that. Oh, whatever. That's fine. Hey, yo. Awesome gifting subs. Thanks for the 3 gifted, was it? Did it say 3? Yeah, thanks for the 3 gifted, Possum. Very appreciative. I need to make a new sub thing, because that's a really good outfit of me from Animal Crossing. But thanks for the gruff. Thanks for the gifted subs, Possum. Unexpected. Didn't expect you to just give subs like that. Out of the blue. Bro. Look at these artworks. Ayo, 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 ayo. Spoilers, ayo, spoilers. What the fuck? Ayo. What the heck? Spoilers. Bro. Honestly, honestly, to see the galleries of things I haven't seen yet. What the heck? Bro, what? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Anyway. Anyways, with that done, it's time to raid someone. I need to go look for someone to raid. I'm pulling my phone real quick and look at people look who's live. Hey Possum, someone we both know. No. That is the actual game. That is from the actual game. Cause it said chapter 6 on one of them. One of them says chapter 6. See? Chapter 6. I'm ignoring what the thing is called, but there's chapter 6, an epilogue. I wasn't expecting to see that. I was expecting to see just blank slots. But no. It's just spoiler territory. So, that's the thing that's happening. Anyways, with the apparent spoiler occurrence, let's raid out as the game slowly crashes itself when I go on OBS. That's how you spell the name, right? Yes. Rap time! You knew exactly where I was gonna go. Rap time! It's rap time! Anyways, thank you all for tuning in and sticking with me through chapter 4. I thought there was only 5 chapters. Apparently there's at least 6 and an epilogue. I did not know that. So, at least 2 more weeks of this game. Next week on Sunday. Same time, relatively. Chapter 5 of Heart of the Woods. But until then, I will see you guys on the next time I stream, which I don't know when it will be. Maybe tomorrow for forgetting things, but I do not know. I'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow. Or how? Yeah. Bye.